probably look ridiculous with a shirt on top of the other, but hey, at least I matched the book. Hello there, fellow viewer, my name is Gabriel, and today I'm here to bring you my thoughts and opinions on the Son of Neptune, the second book in Rick Riordan's thus far fantastic Heroes of Olympus series. I love everything about these books. They're just so amazingly fantastic. This one is no excuse whatsoever. This was brilliant. Fantastic. Like I said, this is the second book in a series, so this video will contain spoilers for people who have not read The Son of Neptune or The Lost Hero, possibly some minor spoilers for Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. If you have not read these books, I do not know what you are doing with your lives. And I don't usually say this because I don't like to judge people, but pick them up. If you do not yet know what Percy Jackson is about, basically Greek gods exist, are real. These gods got romantically involved with mortals, and the spawn of their very strong love are called demigods, half mortal, half god. Wholly amazing. There's this place in New York called Camp HalfBlood where these demigods go every summer. They learn to fight the monsters that are trying to kill them. They get these awesome quests, and these books are made of fantasticness. I recommend them to you so much. Following of the video will contain spoilers, so please go read these books and then come back so we can talk about this masterpiece. Hello, people who are still with me. So, The Son of Neptune. I loved it. I loved the entirety of this. It's no secret. I've expressed my love for Percy Jackson, for Rick Riordan, for everything about the Percy Jackson universe. The first thing that I'm gonna start with is probably what every single person started with on their Son of Neptune book talk. Percy Jackson is back. It's surreal how much I missed this character. You know, during The Lost Hero, it wasn't focused on him. I didn't really feel the need for Percy Jackson, but now that he's back, I realize how much I actually missed the guy. We've followed Percy Jackson since he was 12, and just getting him back feels so amazing. Of course, for every light there is a shadow, and by this I mean Percy Jackson doesn't remember his previous life events, things, just no. I knew this was coming, but it still hit me hard. Very hard. I really like that we don't dwell on this Percy Jackson not remembering thing like we did with Jason. With Jason, it was like find the X in a very complicated equation. I get the feeling Percy didn't dwell so much on the fact that he lost his memory. I don't know why, but I get the feeling that it didn't affect him as much as it affected Jason, except of course Annabeth, which is the only person he remembered, and I was okay with that because Jason, it did get a little annoying with the not remembering part. The beginning of the book is actually super hilarious because if you probably remember, but we have these things called the Gorgons, creatures, things with snakes, Medusa's siblings, I think. They're just so freaking hilarious. You know, they want to kill him, and Percy just talking to them. You know what is better than killing me? Oh, I know, our 50% discount at Bargain Mart. No, I'm not talking about Bargain Mart. I just thought those two were a laugh. Just really funny. A great way to start the book. We get to Camp Jupiter, and things are nice. He carries an old lady across the river, and turns out she's Juno or Hera, you know. And we get new characters, which is something that I mentioned in the Lost Hero BookChat that I really appreciate. Frank and Hazel rescue Percy, and we're immediately thrown into Camp Jupiter, which I found myself loving. Everything about this camp was phenomenal. First of all, we have these ghosts, these Larrys. It's so weird picturing these in a camp. I really like the introduction of the purple spirits. They didn't add a lot, but they certainly added to the Roman feeling of the camp. Another thing I loved was the village, you know, the place where demigods and demigods' children and grandchildren can actually grow up. There is no such thing in Camp Half. I thought this idea was so good to actually be able to grow up where you learned everything you know and being able to pass it down to your children and seeing your children fight in the cohorts and in the legions. I loved it. It's like Camp Jupiter isn't a camp for demigods, it's a city. We even have shops, we have bakeries and clothes shops. It's insane. I don't know whether I prefer Camp HalfBlood over sentimental feelings or Camp Jupiter over the fact that it's just that much better. Camp HalfBlood isn't too clear on my mind since I read Percy Jackson so long ago. Camp Jupiter just seems so sweet. Like the best thing to spend your summer in would be Camp Jupiter. So I'm reading the book, and Percy Jackson explains that Lupa helped him, that Lupa gave him the knowledge he needed to go to Camp Jupiter. I'm just sitting here Like, why did Lupa not help Jason? I was a little bit confused throughout the book, but then I realized Jason was supposed to find the Greek camp, and the Greek camp works in a completely different set of rules. Percy was supposed to find the Roman camp, and every Roman demigod has been through Lupa initiation, so I guess it was okay. Percy was so much more help than Jason. I felt like to Jason it was such a big shock to come to Camp Half-Blood, but then to Percy it wasn't that much of a deal. I don't know. Nico is back! Yes. Just yes to all of this. I have to admit he wasn't my favorite part of Percy Jackson in the Olympian series, but to be able to find another character who is familiar is just such a relief, because I do love new characters, but I also love familiar characters. I love the fact that he's back. It was kind of annoying not telling Percy, but it's very understandable that he didn't, because Percy was supposed to do this on his own, you know? That's kind of the sick deal Hera Juno made the exchange of leaders. I have to let it slide. So the new characters, Hazel. I really liked Hazel. So far from the new characters, it's a tie between Leo and Hazel. I don't know what it is, but Hazel is just a character that really spoke to me. One thing about the new characters is that the mystery is set from the very beginning. Again, just like in The Lost Hero, we don't know everything about these characters right away, and I loved figuring them out as the novel progressed. This whole precious minerals, metals thing Hazel had, I didn't understand until it was explained, and I freaking loved it. It's not the most enviable,
let's hope that's a word.
It's not the most enviable ability, but it's cool. Hades and the dead and the underworld are so far from being my favorite thing about the Percy Jackson series. That is not me. It does not click with my being. Underworld and the undead, it irks me out. It's not my favorite thing. Hades is probably my least favorite god. His children, however, I actually really found myself liking. His ability to raise the undead, I did not like it. I wasn't a big fan. It sure helped in the battle. Hazel, however, she has just so much more ease when it comes to her Hades Ludo abilities, and I liked it. Her background story also had me just, what is this girl? She's from the past. She's been dead. What? There is the mystery again. We don't know, and I loved figuring out. She was rescued by Nico because he was looking for Bianca. Just really warmed my heart, because you know how Nico was affected by Bianca's death. I really felt sympathy towards her, so I loved Hazel. Then we get Frank, who I didn't really enjoy at first. There was this weird deal with Frank being a big baby. I did not picture him like that. I pictured him as a normal teenager. His ability in the end, though, that surprised me. That was like, yes, you go, dude. I love his power thing. Awesome. As a character, I felt really sorry for him. Riordan writes him in a way where we pity him for being so looked down upon. I feel like he needed to prove himself to everyone to actually be looked at the way he deserved to be looked at. I liked Frank throughout the book. I had no problems with him. And again, his power is just, that is enviable. Then we have the War Games, which is Camp Jupiter's equivalent to Capture the Flag. And Capture the Flag was one of my favorite things about Percy Jackson and the Olympian. Everything about the camps just comes out in these games that they're supposed to strategize.
I hope that's a word.
They work hard at attacking and defending and proving their Roman worth in these games. And I just really liked it. Capture the Flag is a mixture of attacking and defending. The War Games is kind of like one team defends, one team attacks. I love both of them. If I was in Camp Half-Blood or in Camp Jupiter, that's what I would look forward to every week or every month, whenever it happens. I'm not quite sure, but it's amazing. Them working as a team, I love it. That's when their personalities come out. That's when their true value surfaces. That's why Frank is now respected as a person. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you do. Going back to Frank, during the book, there's this thing about a piece of firewood, and if it burns, he dies. And I'm just like, what kind of person are you? It really confused me, and then it just made so much more sense when his ability was explained. He has infinite power. He is almost unbeatable. He can turn into any living thing, and obviously for that great a power you have to have some sort of weakness. His weakness is huge. Like, if that burns, he dies. I love the contrast that there is between Frank's lifeline and his power. It's just really well done. The effing quest was the best thing about the book. Mars just, hey Frank, you're my son. Why don't you go on a quest to rescue Death? And yeah, here's an AK-47. Like one just does. you know. I love the part where the kids were like,
It's a quest. You're supposed to have a prophecy.
and Mars is just go, rescue Death, don't die, bring back the eagle. Okay, that good enough for you?
It's supposed to rhyme. It's not supposed to make sense.
I'm not a big fan of Ares or Mars, but him completely ignoring them is like, yes, yes. One thing that I really liked was how well orchestrated everything in this book was, you know, from the quests to the Amazon girls to Alaska, you know, just like any other Rick Riordan book, this takes us so many places. We jump around from here to there to there to here. I really liked it, as always. We also have Gaia or Gaia or just this weird Mother Nature person character. I don't like her, you know, she's the main antagonist. Obviously you're not supposed to like her, but she just irks me out. I have no idea how the Seven are gonna beat her. We also have Ella the Harpy, which is another hilarious thing that I loved about this book. Ella is the comedic relief that we all loved in Son of Neptune. This nice harpy that memorizes everything, keeps repeating random things from all over. It's just, I loved that. And now that she knows these ancient prophecies and she's actually precious, we're not gonna lose her anytime soon. I'm really glad because she was fantastic. Really liked her. Hazel goes home, you know, 70 years after she died, and that moment is just very emotional for her and for the reader. Her story is only revealed towards the end, and her sacrifice was huge. She delayed the destruction of the human race by 70 years, and if that's not something that you should aspire to, then I don't know what is. I really appreciate her for that, and my love for her just grew even more. I'm loving Hazel. So she gets to her home via the route that she used to take 70 years ago. Her pictures are still on the wall, and you can tell she's very, very shook up by that. And then Percy just goes up and says, "Who is that?" "Oh, that's Sammy. He used to be my best friend. He looks very familiar." "What do you mean he looks very familiar? He died." "What do you mean you've seen him before?" It's just, is this the same thing where the doors of death is letting people come back to Earth? Because it's just, what do you mean he looks familiar? I don't know what you're trying to say. So in this book we have two evil giants that are destroyed. We have the one in the north, Alcyonius, I think that was the one in the north, and Polybotes or Polybotes in Camp Jupiter. And I really like the way they defeated all of them in typical Rick Riordan way. The fights were epic. They destroyed Polybotes with Terminus's head. Yes, yes to that. With Death, the new male supermodel, now restored, monsters can stay dead, and that was the big quest. That's what they got done. They also went and got the eagle that Camp Jupiter needed. Everything is fine, but the war is far from over. Now they have to cross the Atlantic and go to Rome to save Nico and to do a bunch of other stuff, and I'm really excited because we have not gotten a Percy Jackson book outside of the United States, except for obviously Canada, but that doesn't really count because we're going to Rome and we're going to Greece, and I'm really excited. And yeah, that's it, you know. This video is already too long as it is. Stay tuned for the Mark of Athena book chat, which is coming very soon, as I already finished the book. I loved it, obviously. Tell me what you thought of the Son of Neptune down below. Did you agree with me on what I said? Do you disagree? Just tell me anything, everything. Ask whatever you want down below. I really want to discuss this with someone, so yes. The Son of Neptune, another of Rick Riordan's epic books. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you stay tuned for my next videos. Remember to keep your day a bookish one. Goodbye.